Hello plastic model builders, welcome back. This is the B-17G Flying Fortress. This is part 2. If you didn't see our last video, go back, check it out. We did some pre-painting for everything. So right now we are assembling the rear tail wheel. I'm going to use some olive drab color. We are going to paint our chairs. This whole video is based on painting all the interior detail. Yes, I'm using a brush. I'm not too concerned with how this is going to look because I am not doing the half version of this model. I am doing the complete full version, so you're not really going to see much of this through the glass. There's that kind of 3-foot rule I use. If you can't really see it from 3 feet, it doesn't matter how bad it looks. Not saying we're making it look bad, we're just doing what we need to do to make it look presentable from the outside. So it's kind of like a little modeling trick. You don't have to put your best effort forth. We're just going to show you all the things that we're doing here. So as you can see, we're just painting. This is one of the bulkheads. There are a lot of these. This is the front right here. Just putting all the olive drab color on. The paint I use, they kind of interact with each other. So the underlayer, I can do some stuff and scrape away some paint and even paint stuff, and it will pull up the previous layer of paint. Kind of neat little trick. I wouldn't advise doing it. It just kind of happened on accident. These are going to be some tables and chairs and all that good stuff, you know, wood things. So we're going to try and attempt to make some look wood-like stuff, look like natural wood. Again, more of this olive drab color on a bunch of these parts. There's a lot of them, a lot of gun sights, so we need to get them. Just make this look pretty, you know, it's model making madness. This is part of the turret that goes on top. It goes in olive drab color. You're not going to see a lot of this. Remember, this goes inside of the plane. You will see it if you were doing the half version. If you are doing the half version, paint it better than what I'm doing. Maybe use an airbrush, all that good stuff. This is where the guy would stand. This goes in there. You can kind of see this from inside of the plane if you look up. This goes olive green as well. Just get a little bit of the base, all of that. Make it look pretty. I've said it again, that's twice. Now I know these are wheels. They look kind of funny, but my goal was to make them look a little dirty and worn. This is a World War II warplane, seen a bunch of action. So the goal is to not make it look perfect, and I think doing it how I'm doing it is a good way of doing it because this plane was used a lot in combat. This is the rear, and this is the little canvas that goes around the tail gun. Now there was a seam right here that we're taking care of. I got my little sanding stick. I work it around just like that. We're also going to use some regular sandpaper and buff it out. I'm going around this edge also, that way we can make it look worn. Just leave that white a little bit, and once we finally paint that a black color, it'll look really nice. See, smooth. Alright, so we are going to paint the straps. I didn't bother making any. This is just a lighter, a little darker color, and you see me mixed it up right there. Just put the straps on. A bunch of chairs. So we'll show you a closer look. There it is. Just go light with it. That's all you have to do. It's not too pretty. It can be rough because they got used a lot. These are the smaller seats. We've got some buckles on them. We're going to paint those silver or aluminum. I don't care what color you want to use. They almost all look the same, especially through a window. So we got little straps right here. I did my best. They're small little areas. Wasn't too concerned. 4 on each seat basically, and then the bottom straps, you see them, they're those little loops there. The seat detail was fairly good in this model, at least for these particular chairs. We're going to get that, and then the strap that's going across the chair as well. So you see, even though it looked rough when I started painting it, it actually comes out really nice once that paint dries. It levels itself out. My paint was a little bit thick. It's also a little bit older. Had some stuff happen to it. So here, painting some boxes in aluminum color. This is on one of the bulkheads. You see my weathering that I did there. Going around the rivets or whatever you would want to call the structure. I guess this is the structure of the plane. Painting a little bit more aluminum. That's how I do that. And just paint the rest of it. See a little registration there. Flashing. Got to get rid of the flashing. This is for the chairs. Go in the front of the cockpit. Remember, after this video, coming up in 2 weeks, you will see me put the cockpit together. This right now is just painting all these parts. That's how many of them there are. This goes in aluminum color. You can weather it if you want. Going to be hard to see from the windshield of this aircraft, by the way. The rear wheel, that went aluminum. So just kind of painting that. It's a little rough now. We touch it up later on and we make it look pretty. Well, I'm on a roll today. All right, so this is basically the rear wheel, that silver. You see me painting all around everything. That's just the color of it, whatever works for you. So we got some rust coloring. I don't remember what the exact directions called for, maybe a light brown, something like that. I used this, it worked. Once again, you got to look into the model, so you're not really going to be able to see all this. Once it starts drying, you can kind of rub your brush on it and it tacks up a little bit. Makes it look kind of like realistic material, if that makes sense. I don't know what these canisters are. I'm not familiar with all the internal parts of the plane. I like to build the models, not necessarily know everything there is to know about the aircraft though. Although, if you do know what those are, please, I insist, tell me. This is the controls, the front cockpit control, steers the plane. I forget what you call it. It's certainly not a stick, but it is certainly kind of like a wheel. Goes all black all around it, and you see that front barrel strip that goes right on the front is there. Have this little piece. I'm going to paint that entire thing black. Get this whole thing black right here. Lots of black, lots of green, lots of brown, and lots of wood coloring. This is the last bit of this little guy right here. Now we will do some gun sights. Got one right here in the front of the aircraft that kind of goes on virtually dead last when you do this aircraft. Get the whole thing black. You can use a paint marker, whatever you want. Here's more detail on some of the bulkheads. I wanted some of the paint to dry. You know, it's just easier to do each bulkhead with whatever color you're working with at the time. That way you're not constantly cleaning brushes. Here's the front controls. As I said, I'm not worried about how it looks because it's on the inside and it's going to look really worn and weathered by painting it by hand. It'll just kind of give it a natural look. You'll just have to trust me. You'll see it when it's done. I know you'll like it. Got this little box that sits on top of this desk. We have this little guy here. I don't know what that is in this airplane. And here's that thing we painted silver earlier. Got some knobs and things like that on there. Some conduit probably, where wires go. If it's not conduit, let me know. Here's the fire extinguisher. That's the little nozzle where the stuff comes out. These are some instruments right here. We will paint those, get a little fake knobs on those too later on. More conduit for some boxes. Just paint these however you see fit. Like I said, if you're doing the whole half version of this model, make it look pretty. If not, just kind of roll with it. It's a little handle here. I just did what I had to do. That way if you look inside of this aircraft, you'll be like, wow, nice plane, looks really good. Get this box right here, and that looks good. You see more conduit. There's lots of stuff in this plane that requires detail. And I'm showing you here painting the conduit as well, the black color. The electrical box, you know, that's got to go somewhere, right? Yes. Fire extinguishers, all sorts of things. See, this is the other part of the fire extinguisher. The handle grips on our guns, they get painted black too. The original color is gunmetal and the handles are gun black. More little dials and instruments. These go inside of the front of the cockpit. We will touch these up a little later. Of course, do a little dry brushing. That way we can bring out the highlights in the instruments. And you see I got the little things that hold the conduit in place. And there, look at that. I love it. Another rear gun. You have to paint the holders of the guns, the mounts, black as well. Look at that. We are coming to the end of this video almost. We've got about 2 minutes left. This is all the guns that you will see. Now we are painting some wood. I used a tan color. This is my first experience trying this, so if I get it wrong, it's okay. We'll have lots of other tries at this. I paint everything tan first, then I go over it with what I thought would be a kind of a, you could say, weathered coat, almost like a staining, but it didn't quite work out. And I will show you that in just a moment after we're done painting all these various boxes. You see how many they are that go wood. It doesn't stop. Just a little technique of going all the way around this box. One more. We have the tip of this. Carefully get that edge, just like that. Just about done that. That's what it looks like. So this is the little color that I made. Brush it on and we'll let it tack up, and then you can use a bigger brush and smooth it out. So my goal was to kind of make it look like real wood that would go inside the grain, but it didn't quite work out that well, and that's okay, because that's what modeling is about, is experiment and learning what works and what doesn't work. So you see you got the whole thing painted. Now I've got my dry brush, just kind of feathering that out there, and you can see the difference from one and the other. And I felt it turned out decent for what I was trying to achieve. It certainly blended in nicely. See that? I think it looks good. It'll work, right? Of course. Now, let's paint some fire extinguishers. Gloss red, my Testors color. We're not going to see this too well. A bunch of fire extinguishers. This is one of them right here. It's on one of the bulkheads. Here is another one right there by the conduit. I don't know if this is a fire extinguisher or not, but I painted it anyway. So that's that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment, and like. Tune in next time. And until next time, I'll see ya.